Hello friends and welcome to Not Just a Girl, the feminist tattoo podcast where I get to talk to some of my favourite tattooers about their lives and art practice. I'm Eddy and thank you for joining me for episode 11. Today we'll be chatting about friendly tattoo studios, the tattoo community, and self-expression and drag. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are the traditional custodians of this land that was stolen and never ceded. I am honoured and grateful to be on the ancestral land of the Awabakal people, and I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and extend my recognition to their descendants. I'm very excited today to chat to the stunning and talented Courtney. She's also known as Miss Quartz and works at the Grand Illusion in Melbourne. Courtney is known for her vibrant, fun, and beautifully executed traditional tattoos. She's also one half of the Down to Clown podcast celebrating drag. Thank you so much for being a part of my little podcast. It's so good to chat to you today.
My pleasure. Thanks for asking me.
So, how's your year been so far?
Well, I think as I think many people say, it's been like ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
The year started off extremely busy, and then 2 months of being dormant, I guess. Someone asked me the other day, they're like, "Are you still going to count this into your tattoo career time?" And I was like, yes, I'm 10 years in October. I'm not sacrificing that landmark for myself.
That's so exciting. It's my 10 year this year too, but I don't remember exactly when I started. I just know it was sometime at the start of the year. So I'd just be like, okay, January.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I remember it being around October-ish. And Tim Regard, who I work with, his date is in October, so I've just taken his. I'm like, okay, I'm jumping on that. You always remember when it is, so.
Little anniversary twinsies.
Yeah. I'm like, I've just adopted his date. I think he's okay with that.
Oh, that's so exciting that you're coming up to 10 years. Congratulations.
I know. Thank you. And you too. It doesn't feel like that long at all. I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel like it's been a second.
Yeah.
In my life.
I still feel like a tattoo baby sometimes.
Oh yeah, 100%. The older I get and the longer I do this, the more I realize I know absolutely nothing.
Yeah. I was definitely much more confident in my first year or two than I am now.
Oh yeah. I think that just comes down to age as well. I'm not sure how old you were when you started, but just in that late teens, early 20s stage, you think you're the shit, especially when you learn your tattoo apprenticeship. You're like, yeah, I'm a tattooer. I'm so cool. I know everything. I've been doing this for 6 months.
I was in my mid-20s, so I have absolutely no excuse for being that way other than ego.
I think it's something that comes naturally when you start succeeding in a creative field, I think, because it comes, a lot of it does come from you. So you're like, oh my God, I am actually so good. And then a few years go past and you're like, I don't know what I was thinking.
It's so frustrating. Can't I just feel as good as I did in that first 6 months?
I know. But I think it's a good way to be. That's how you keep pushing, and that's how you keep developing as an artist. And I think the best way to improve is to run that race with yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What was your first tattoo?
Oh, my very first tattoo I ever did, I got to work and my boss was like, okay, you're tattooing today. Up until this point, I've just been sitting in the studio, cleaning, sketching, fucking around and that. I don't know if you had them, but this was before a pound of flesh happened and you could get actual body parts to tattoo. I was tattooing on these weird silicone rubber mats that were nothing like skin at all. Anyway, I got into the studio and my boss was like, yep, you're tattooing today. I was like, oh my God, what? Am I tattooing myself? And he's like, no, you're tattooing me. He had these old stars on his leg. And he's like, okay, you're going to redo these. And I want another second star on the inside. So it was extremely stressful. I think there was 3. The whole thing was probably like about that big. And I feel like it probably took me about 2 hours.
Oh my God. And like stars with like crisp points, that's hard.
Yeah, 5-point stars, crisp points, and had to freehand a second smaller star inside the like, existing one. It was a lot.
Oh my God. I can't remember exactly what my first one is, but it was either a rat and a skull on my husband's foot or a penguin on my sister's ankle. But either way, for both of them, I remember crying while I was doing it.
It's so high pressure. It's so high pressure. I still have flashbacks now to when I first started, and I don't know, just there was always like a few tattoos that would just like be kind of getting away from you. And I just remember being halfway through tattoos and being like, I just want this to be over. I don't know how long I can keep doing this for. I don't know how long I can keep supporting my client emotionally through this, because I'm done with it. We always got there at the end, but yeah, I always have those moments now where I'm like starting something big and I'm like, oh wow, like, I'm feeling like really confident. And I remember the days where I did not have that at all.
And you start to feel the sweat like dripping down like your stomach and your upper lip.
Oh yeah. And you're just like, I can't talk or do anything, but like I need a laser focus, and this is all I can do right now.
Still have those
to be fair,
moments.
I'm a lot like that now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because like your work, it's so powerful and vibrant and it exudes confidence and fun. So you kind of like, when I look at your work, I can't imagine you even having a moment of stress, like just with the way your work appears.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice. I'd say all the stress happens now beforehand. I think at the stage I'm at now, well, hopefully after these 2 months, this still rings true. But at the stage I'm at now, it's almost like muscle memory. Like I know exactly how all my machines run. I know my setup, my environment's super comfortable, and I'm confident in my own skills. Now it's more like, is the design 100% exactly what I want it to be, what my client wants it to be? Am I bringing something fresh to the table whilst still upholding, the traditional values that I value? So yeah, I'd say all the stress happens before now, rather than during the actual process.
Yeah,
for me,
that
anyway.
Makes sense. I mean, that's probably the most important time to be stressing about it, because like if the design's not right, where do you go from there?
Yeah, exactly. If the design's not right from the very beginning, the tattoo is not going to be right at the end.
Yeah. Have you always been interested in traditional tattoos? Has that always been like your, I don't know, main inspiration in tattooing?
Not always. I started tattooing in street shops on the Gold Coast. So it was very much, the focus was very much on being an all-rounder. You should be able to be doing almost any style that walks through the door, which is a great base to start with. But it led to like a lot of years of self-reflection and exploration, and really trying to find like what I like to see in my own work and what feels good for me and what I'm naturally drawn to. So I'd say it's probably been the last like maybe 5 years that I've been really, really attracted and dedicated to traditional tattooing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you find that in your self-reflection, it was about just looking at tattoos, or was it just this whole thing of like pop culture and music and stuff as well? Because I know you're really into drag culture and all that kind of thing. Did that play a part in discovering your style?
Definitely. I think anyone who considers themselves an artist can recognize that they take inspiration from every aspect of their likes and their lives and personality. I think a big turning point from my work was recognizing what I liked and what my inspirations were, but also recognizing that it's just elements that I like rather than a straight replication.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely think not completely stopping looking at other tattooers, but not putting so much gravity in what everyone else is doing around me has really helped me like push my own style and just know who I am as an artist, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I find the same thing. Like, I used to spend a lot of time looking at other artists and getting stressed out because I couldn't do what they were doing. And then instead I changed my attitude and approach and was just looking at the little tricks they were doing that was attracting me to their work, and then just putting that aside, still keeping like little tricks and details in mind, and then kind of not even referencing another tattoo at all when I'm drawing or tattooing. It's just much more authentic as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I feel like definitely with traditional tattooing, the references are important and the history is extremely important. But that, for me anyway, it was an extremely pivotal step where I could take those things, but not be replicating it, being like, okay, these are all the things that I like from this style of tattooing, but I want to draw inspiration from all this other stuff in my life that I really, really love and that I'm drawn to. And now I'm just like, okay, well, that's the idea. So here we go, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just see what happens, see what comes out.
That's awesome. And it must be difficult, I think, in traditional tattooing specifically, to be able to find that happy medium between, respecting traditions and following those like patterns, but then bringing something fresh to it, because you do see a lot of replication, and not that there's anything wrong with that for those artists, but it would be hard to find your own voice and stand out in that crowd when there's so many people doing it.
Yeah, and so many people doing it so extremely well as well. Yeah. I think especially within Australia, the tattoo community here is so talented and vibrant and creative. And I really feel like there's a lot of people here pushing the envelope and like doing new cool things.
Yeah.
It's so hard not to be inspired and motivated by that. But, on those down days, it is easy to look at all that and be like, I'm never going to get to that level. Like, what do they have that I don't have? So I think as my journey has progressed, it's a lot of putting that aside and being like, well, they're just doing what they're doing and I'm doing what I'm doing. And, that's why people come to you, not because you're doing something like somebody else, because you're doing your own thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people come to you as well for the experience. I've tattooed a few of your clients and they only had to say amazing things about you and how lovely you were and how funny you were and how comfortable you made them feel and how much they enjoyed the experience of being tattooed by you.
Yeah, I think the experience is so important. I think you're probably the same as well. Like, I get that vibe of you. And we've got a lot of crossover clients and I only ever hear good things about FLT and the experiences that they have with you and your crew. But yeah, I would say like I have always felt that the experience is super important. But it's also something that's come very naturally to me as well. As soon as I started tattooing, it's like, I want to give my all and everything I have to tattooing and the people who are coming to me to get tattooed, because I feel like I get so much from tattooing back. So yeah, I just want to like have fun. I want to like chat with people, have a good experience. Sometimes I'm even lucky enough to walk away from the experience with like a new friend in my life, which is so cool, especially when so many people, and so many people struggle, making friends and forming those connections as adults. And we're so lucky that it just happens for us, kind of thing. And yeah, I'm lucky enough to work at the Grand Illusion where everyone else holds those values as closely and as sacredly as I do. So it's, the environment's super important.
Yeah, it's a beautiful studio and you definitely get that really fun, welcoming energy when you're there.
Yeah, we all work really hard on it. It's, it just makes going to work, well, not even work. It's just, I'm just going to go do what I love in a room with people that I love and, have fun, which is what's made isolation so hard. Yeah. So very hard.
Yeah, I've been the same. Being away from the crew I work with has been really strange. Like, when you spend so much time together in the studio and you all genuinely love each other and enjoy each other's company, you lose a lot being away from that.
Yeah, for sure. It's just like another family, and being separated from your family is really hard.
Yeah.
But I'm super keen to get back into it. It's going to be really interesting to see what the landscape is like after this global pandemic.
Yes. Yeah. Are you guys allowed to have the whole crew tattooing at once, or are you going to have to stagger appointments and everything? Because it's a smaller studio. Yeah.
Technically, we could all be working at the one time, but we want to make it as safe and just as safe as possible for all of us and all of our clients as well. So we're going to go back on each of us doing less days and doing sort of like a rotating roster. So there's no more than like four artists in the studio at the one time.
We're doing exactly the same here as well.
Yeah, I think it's just the safest way. I mean, it's what I feel comfortable with as well. Like I don't know how I would feel about going straight back into it with everyone in the shop.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily super concerned for my own health, but just, you want to keep it as like safe and, responsible as you can, I guess. And this is just another layer of it.
Yeah. It would be difficult to live with, knowing that it might have been spread in your workspace or by you. I don't think I would be okay with that.
Not at all. Not at all. I feel so guilty. That would be awful.
Yeah. We take everything like about our practice so seriously that it's hard enough that we actually hurt people doing the tattoo, let alone hurting them in other ways.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess the tattoo industry is probably the most prepared for it as well. We're all very careful with, hygiene standards and all that kind of thing. So I feel confident in our ability to go back and work safely.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Not just my studio. I feel like, as a whole, most of the places that I've, guested in, and most of the people I know in the tattoo industry and lucky enough to call my friends, are also taking it extremely seriously. So I think that's a definite positive in this situation.
Yeah, 100%. We don't want to put anything at risk of like ever losing tattooing again. I think having it taken away from us for a couple of months, if anything, it shows you just how important it is in your life and how much you love and need it.
Oh, definitely. I think in your first episode, you said something like, it's been so hard having that craft taken away from you. And that nailed exactly how I felt. Because I was like, yeah, it's like the actual physical ritual of tattooing. That's what I've missed so much, along with the social interactions, of course, but like just not being able to do that thing that you love the most in your life. That's been really hard.
Yeah. I feel like we differ as well from some other industries in that we actually really love this. This is what we dream about. This is what we think about when we go home. Like, you know, this isn't just a job we do to get a paycheck. It's like in our fucking every fiber of our being.
100%. The way I feel about tattooing is similar to, I hold it similar to how sailors feel about the ocean. You know how there's a lot of songs and old hymns about, you know, the ocean is their one true love. She might be a cruel mistress sometimes, but she's this all encapsulating, you know, soulmate. And that's how I feel about tattooing. So being separated has been hard, but it has been a nice break as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially I think everyone I've spoken to who is at that 10-year mark like we are, it's like 10 years of working every single day and night and like never stopping, and every holiday has been including tattooing because, you know, tattooers don't just take holidays from themselves, they do guest spots and conventions. And so, yeah, for many of us, this will be the first time we've ever actually like taken a moment.
Yeah. It's pretty heavy to think about. I've struggled a lot because I thrive off routine, but I'm awful at putting myself into a routine. So going to the studio and having the rest of my life centered around being at the studio and tattooing, and then having all of that taken away and me left up to my own devices, it's been quite difficult.
Yeah. Even someone who's as hardworking and motivated as you, yeah, if you don't have that routine that you've worked so hard to create, it's just like, who am I? What do I do now? Like stand under the shower crying for a couple of hours a day. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Just lie face down on my floor, I guess, for a 4-hour nap. What else am I going to do?
Thank goodness for cats though, really.
Oh, yeah. That has been great. My cats have absolutely loved me being in isolation. It's been the best time of their lives. Anytime they ask for biscuits, they're getting it. You know, they've got my body heat, keeping them warm all day. They're loving it, which, you know, that's another positive from it as well, I guess.
Absolutely. One of my cats, because I have 4, and he's like, I know it's naughty to say, but he's my favorite. He's just been like getting extra treats and extra food. So he's got this like beautiful little isolation body happening at the moment, and it's like perfect for winter because he's just so warm and round and cuddly, and it's oh,
so cute. You've got those curly hair cats, right?
Yeah, little Devon Rexes.
Yeah. So is their fur, they've got quite thin fur, right?
Yeah, it's
do you need to put them in like little jackets for winter or anything like that?
Mine don't like jackets, but they literally just like follow us around and are attached to us. You know, they're in front of any heater. They live under blankets. Like my youngest one spends probably half the day underneath the doona on our bed. But, you know.
Oh, I love it when they do that. I love that so much. Often my cat, like, she'll get up when I get up, but some days she'll be like, you know what? I'm going back to bed, and like crawl back under the covers.
It's the best when they sleep in with you as well, and you both lie there like, I know I've got to get up and have breakfast, but this is warm.
Oh, yeah. That honestly, that's been me every day for the last like 2 months. I'm like, I should get up and start my day, but I'm going to lay in bed for another 2 hours scrolling on Instagram and watching YouTube with my cat.
Well, even this morning when we messaged each other about today, we're both like, I have a cat on me.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm not quite willing to move just yet. She's being very cute. But that's been really great. And it's been this whole experience has really put a lot of things into perspective and made me realize how, you know, lucky I am to live in a house that I'm comfortable in, live in a city that I love. You know, I'm fortunate enough to be able to have a pet that I can care for financially and emotionally. So yeah, like I really feel for everyone out there who's, you know, in isolation, living on their own, maybe hasn't had a lot of contact. I can't imagine how hard it's been.
Yeah. It really makes you reflect on your privileges in life. And, you know, I think we get really complacent every day and complain about things that in the grand scheme of things don't actually matter. And, you know, watching this whole pandemic unfold across the world and, you know, our friends in the US and, you know, not getting any support at all, and some of them losing their shops and homes. And, you know, while we're sitting quite comfortably here, like if you don't reflect on that privilege, there's probably something very amiss.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah. I just never thought we'd live through something like this. I 100% thought we'd turn the corner of this month and it'd be like zombies, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
But that could also be me poisoning my own mind and just watching far too many horror movies.
I can't even do horror movies. I have nightmares and I'm a little bit soft around the edges. I do sci-fi, but not horror.
Yeah, I can understand that. You know, I there was a long period in my life in high school where the early stage of high school where I was like, oh no, not horror movies. Like I'm not into it. And then I don't know, just like this switch flipped in my brain, and it's honestly like the first thing that I always go for, which can, you know, it leads to some interesting personality traits, but what are you going to do? It's the same as, I don't know, we were talking about what podcast we listen to. I listen to a lot of true crime, and there are points in my life where I've had to be like, okay, we need to have a detox from this, because I live in the safest suburb and I'll be like locking my windows and doors, being like, I'm going to have, you know, be invaded. My house is going to be invaded. Like, you know, someone's going to murder me for sure. So yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff that I love that I have to limit myself to.
Amazing. I've been watching Killing Eve lately, which is like so amazing, and just all of the ways that she murders people. It's just like, oh yeah, that's a good way to deal with some really toxic men in the world.
Killing Eve is so fantastic. It's such a good show.
Yeah. It's so like wonderful to see a show with queer representation where women are not objectified. Like Villanelle is stunning and stylish and crazy, but as beautiful as she is, I don't feel like her costuming or the camera angles or anything about the story ever objectifies her.
I think it's because they've built her into a complex character. She's not just like this hottie that goes around killing people in hot clothes. She's got complexities to her.
Yeah.
She's like a flawed but rounded character. So, I love that show so much.
Yeah. It's also really good to see women being represented in TV in a way where they are like well-rounded and multidimensional. You often see characters in shows like, for example, Stranger Things, which I love, but, you know, the lead character is powerful, but she doesn't speak much. Or, you know, you've got other characters, you know, who do speak a lot and they're teased for that, and then they're maybe like, you know, not used in other ways. Like women and like, you know, non-binary and trans people aren't given like characters where, you know, they're fully well-rounded like male characters are. And it's even interesting how men respond to shows like that. Someone the other day was telling me that some guys were like, oh, how come all the male characters in Killing Eve are like really dumb and the only smart ones get killed? Like, oh, we wouldn't know anything about that happening, like to people who aren't men.
To my world. Yeah, it's been really nice the last, I don't know, the last few years, seeing more storylines centered around female, non-binary and queer characters in an empowering way. I don't know if you've ever watched, have you ever watched The L Word?
I did many, many years ago when the original show came out, but I haven't rewatched it all. There's a new series, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a new season out, and the L Word was great when it first came out. If you rewatch it now, it's extremely problematic. A lot of transphobia and that kind of thing. But the new season is fantastic. I mean, there's still some flaws there. We don't see a lot of different body types.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see people of colour, non-binary, non-gender conforming people, and it's so nice seeing queer love stories coming to fruition without it being completely tragic.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still some of that in the L Word because it is a soap opera, so you need that drama. but it is nice. And Hollywood as well. I'm not sure if you've watched Hollywood on
It's
Netflix.
Amazing. It is amazing.
It's so good. Yeah, definitely not what I was expecting. Just because it's from Ryan Murphy, so every episode I was like waiting for someone to get murdered or for some like ghost to pop up in the background or something like that. But it was just like a really lovely story.
Yeah, it was just so beautiful, this idea of being able to rewrite history where, Rock Hudson was able to come out and be a gay man and not, live his entire life and then come out just before he died of AIDS, which is what happened in reality. It's just, it's really lovely how things are rewritten. And She-Ra is amazing as well because it's completely diverse. Like, it's probably the most inclusive show I've ever seen, and it's happy and it's happy endings and it's beautiful and it just makes you feel so full of joy.
Yeah, and I think those storylines, especially at such a troubling time as now, are even more important, because it is hard to sit down at the moment and like watch something that's super heavy and serious. We need a little bit of light in our lives.
We do, absolutely. Yeah. And it's really interesting because I feel like this change is happening across arts everywhere. Like, we're seeing much more representation in TV and film, but it's happening in tattooing as well, where, we're celebrating different kinds of bodies more, we're like inviting different kinds of artists and styles, and we're giving people a space to be themselves without all of that toxic judgment that has weighed the industry down for so long.
Yeah. And I think I was thinking about this earlier today, and I really think the changes in the tattoo industry, we can really thank grassroots efforts. That's what I believe in. Like, I'm not a very organized person. Like, I can't. What you did with Not Just a Girl Flash Day and like building that up, and with this podcast, and you've got a very clear vision, and you're very articulate in the way that you voice your opinions and standpoints. I often feel like I'm a rambling mess, so I find that I affect change. The best way I affect change is by just trying to be positive, creating like a very equal environment around me that hopefully people don't ever feel self-conscious about anything around me. And I feel like my attitude is reflected in a lot of other people, and that's why we have seen such a nice change in our tattoo industry, because there's just a lot of nice people doing the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's good to see.
Yeah. And that's the only way we move forward. Like, it's something I spoke about with Oni the other day, how it takes all different kinds of people, like approaching it in all different ways to affect change. Like, you do need that person holding the fucking Molotov cocktail, like screaming down the street. You need that person who's gently nudging and putting like soft reminders. Like, you need the whole spectrum in order to affect change, because different people are going to hear things in different ways and resist change according to their own perception or experience.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree. It It takes everyone. As long as we're all working and you're doing your best, the best you can, and you're putting as much energy as you can into doing the right thing, then we're going to have positive outcomes.
Absolutely.
And I think it's a good thing to remember, because a lot of people, especially like with what we saw with the fires this summer, you know, a lot of people were just feeling like really helpless and like, oh, I can't do anything about it. And it's like, you don't have to, even if it's just like reposting something on your Instagram, that's helping.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be driving out to the country and fighting the fires yourself.
Exactly.
As long as you're pushing towards the right thing, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Well, you and Avalon and the whole crew at the Grand Illusion have always contributed a lot to the community. You guys do charity work and you do flash days, and it's always really beautiful seeing how much you guys contribute to a better world.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we all try really hard. I don't want to speak for everyone in the shop, but I feel like the general consensus with us is that we love what we do. We love our community, and we love tattooing so much that it just feels right to be able to give back. You know, we might not be able to. We may not be able to spend the time, you know, putting the actual labor into, you know, helping at a soup kitchen or whatever, but you know, we can affect change through art, which is such a great feeling.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, you know, you definitely do that through your art. Like, you know, your pinups and everything are always so powerful and beautiful. And I think you also do it through your podcast too. Like the fact that you have a podcast that's celebrating drag, like the more we can talk about like queer culture and everything, you know, the more that helps affect change as well. Like, you know, would you like to tell our listeners about Down to Clown?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I have a podcast with my best friend, Georgia. It's called Down to Clown. Basically, we just talk about each episode of RuPaul's Drag Race as it comes out, and we just talk shit basically, but we really like to take the time to highlight what we're seeing in the TV show, and we also like to talk about as much local drag events and queer events and creators as we possibly can, because it's just super important to the both of us, really. And it's just nice to be able to put some, you know, light entertainment out there, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there's like such a great scene in Melbourne for drag at the moment as well. Like there always seems to be shows happening and like performances.
Yeah. We're very spoiled for choice here. It's fantastic. I cannot wait until all the bars open again.
Yes. We've only recently had kind of regular drag shows happening in Newcastle before the shutdown, but hopefully they can continue again after lockdown.
Yeah, and I mean, like, all it takes, and this goes for wherever you are, wherever you're listening to this from, all it takes is to go to your local drag show, you know? And you know, keep an open mind. Don't expect to see drag that you're seeing on Drag Race. Go with an open mind. Be open to new experiences, because there's a lot of people putting really fantastic stuff out there that you may have never seen before. So I think it's important to keep an open mind about that as well. In February, I was actually up in Sydney guest spotting at Stoneheart.
Oh, was that for the Mardi Gras?
For the Mardi Gras Flash Day. And we all went out and we ended up at this queer event, and there was a drag performer dressed as a sloth.
Oh my God.
draped over this couch, performing to Kylie Minogue's Slow.
Oh my God.
It was honestly the best thing I've ever seen. I was like, this is genius. It's so smart. So yeah, I guess my message with Down to Clown is keep an open mind and support your local drag acts for sure.
Well, I guess another thing about the local drag acts is a lot of the time, there's people who aren't in privileged positions with a lot of money and costumes like what we're seeing on TV, or they're just starting out and trying to find their confidence and trying to find their own style as a performer as well. And if we don't show up and support them, then like how do they grow and how do they ever reach those heights that they have the potential for?
Yeah, exactly. And I think with drag, the most important thing about drag is that it's just self-expression. So it doesn't matter if you've got a lot of money behind it. Like that shouldn't be the case. You shouldn't be going to a drag show and expecting to see, gowns and outfits that are, thousands upon thousands of dollars. You should just be going to support someone else's self-expression and see how it impacts your experience as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think in this weird like Instagram culture we've got going, we've almost lost sight of what self-expression really means. Like I think, people limit themselves of like, I can't afford those beautiful things, so I can't really express myself fully. And, there's so many ways to do it, like tattoos, hair, I don't know, like just the way you hold yourself, the way you speak, anything. There's so many ways to express yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I love Instagram. It's a fantastic business tool for us, and it's a great way to connect with people in your creative community for sure. But I don't think I think we have to keep in mind the damaging effects that social media can have. I call it, it might be a bit mean, but I call it beige culture. And I think the Kardashians are to blame for a lot of it.
Yeah.
That, for a while there, the lust to be exactly like Kylie Jenner or Kim Kardashian completely erased subcultures for a while there.
It did.
Like I was really not seeing any new, I was not seeing any baby goths or anything for a while there. And I was like, where are they?
Yeah. It's so crazy.
I think luckily we're having a turnaround now where, subcultures are getting stronger again, and people are finding their voice and less afraid to be different.
Yeah, I'm particularly loving the Western thing that's happening at the moment, with like Orville, and is Orville? Yeah,
Orville Peck, yeah.
And like Lil Nas, and everyone's like reliving their love for Dolly, which is important. But
very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good to see. And it's just like, if anyone younger out there is listening, just follow your heart, dress the way you want to dress, express yourself the way you want to express yourself, as long as you're not hurting anyone. Exactly. Who cares if you're different to everyone else? And you don't need money to get by. I think that's another big issue within the tattoo community. There's a lot of people who put way too much value on making money, being like a baller, buying all this like Gucci stuff
and like Rolexes.
Yeah. And I think that sends the wrong message a lot of the time, where it's like it's becoming more, what can tattooing do for you rather than what can you give back to tattooing?
100%. Because like,
it's easy for me to say that because I've never had a big drive for material stuff.
I really love buying clothes and stuff, but I still would never use tattooing as my means to fund that in the way that perhaps some do. Like, I believe in artists getting paid what they're worth, because this job is difficult and it is a luxury, but at the same time, it's about the art first and foremost, and the customer, and making sure that they're happy because they're the ones living with it. Like, the fancy boots that you get to buy at the end of the week, like they've got nothing on how that person feels about their body.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this time of isolation, and for a lot of tattooers, loss of income, hopefully been a good time to reflect and reevaluate what's important.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong, you know, like if you are money motivated, then like, cool, that's your thing. But as long as it's because it's what you want to do and because that's your personal goal, not because, oh, everyone else on Instagram who tattoos has like Gucci slides, so I need Gucci slides.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as you're following your own path and what you desire, I think that's important.
100%.
But I'm quite anti-capitalist. So.
I know I'm, you know, theoretically I'm very anti-capitalist, but I still get suckered into buying shit all the time.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's impossible. It's shoved down our throats 24/7, you know, like how can you avoid it? I'm definitely no saint. I definitely buy a lot of shit that I shouldn't be buying.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, that's another thing with like isolation that I've been able to reflect on the fact that actually when I'm feeling a bit shit, that's when I go and start buying stuff. So maybe I need to recognize those feelings, sit in them for a bit and look at other ways of having an outlet. Like, you know, maybe I can try and channel it to something more creative and more helpful or something more community based.
Yeah. And I think that's like a really positive way of looking at it. But also don't feel guilty for buying stuff occasionally.
Yeah. I mean, we have enough guilt, right? We live in this friggin' colonialist Catholic patriarchal society that loves making us hate ourselves and feel guilty about every decision we make.
Yeah. And I guess from my standpoint, I guess I lean in a little bit to hedonism. So it's I don't like anyone feeling guilty for something that makes them feel good as long as no one's getting hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And that's the interesting thing, like about like what we're talking about with the whole like Kardashian culture. Like on one level, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, like they're seeing the flaw in the system and they're using it against itself to set themselves up in life. But then at the same time, they're removing this whole idea of doing things because you love it or doing things because it makes you feel good and just focusing on fitting into a very, very, very small specific idea of what you have to be. And there's no joy in it. There's no personality in it.
Yeah, I got to say when the Kardashians started rising to fame, I did have like that respect for them where I was like, well, you know, they've really really built a whole empire out of nothing really, and props to them. And, you know, like being all women as well, I was like, yeah, cool. But seeing how far they've come and the success they've garnered and the amount of wealth and power they have, and they're still on Instagram promoting skinny teas and, you know, shit like that. So I just can't have any respect for that.
Nah, fucking patriarchal pawns. It's horrible. But this is why I love Dolly Parton, because, you know, when she was a kid, she saw a lady and that she wanted to look like, and she spent her whole life shaping herself to be this image of what she thinks is beautiful and doing it so unashamedly and doing everything that she wants to do to bring herself joy, but then also genuinely giving back to people without expecting anything in return.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, you know, I might not agree with her religious views, but she's always just been putting positivity out there.
Yeah.
She's always been about positivity, love, and acceptance, regardless of her religious views. So I think a lot of people should be taking a lesson from Dolly Parton.
100%. Except for, yeah,
plus
obviously.
Her music just makes you feel good.
Oh my God, 9 to 5. It's the anthem of my life.
Yeah, I remember when I was working at the last studio I worked at Voodoo, I was driving into work, blasting 9 to 5, like, yes, this is my anthem, like, fuck the man, fuck 9 to 5. Meanwhile, driving to work at about 11 a.m., knowing I was only going to be at the studio for a few hours.
But it's the most like socialist song like to ever come out of the 80s. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
we can all relate, even if we don't work 9 to 5, and even if we do work for ourselves, we're still paying the man with our taxes, right? The same thing.
Exactly. And I think Anka on your episode said she's the worst boss she's ever had.
Yeah.
And I related to that so hard. I was like, yeah, same. No one's been as awful and as much of a hard taskmaster as I have been to myself.
Yeah. Oh, same. Sometimes I have to like really kind of stop myself and watch how I'm behaving, because I don't want to be that kind of boss to the people I work with. You know, I like micromanage the fuck out of myself to a point where it's really exhausting. And yeah, I do not want to do that to another person. They're already doing it to themselves.
And that must just be such a hard balance for you, not only managing yourself, but managing a studio and trying to manage the people within that studio, but also not managing them too much. That seems like a very hard line to walk.
Yeah, I have very like clear goals and ideas of what I want FLT to be about and how I want it to be represented and how I want things to play out in the studio. But then at the same time, like, I really fucking love and respect the people I work with, and I want them to feel free and individual. So it's like, you know, the part of me who's just like wants to be the supportive friend and uplift all of them is like, yeah, just do whatever you want. And then the other part of me who's like, I can see a drop of ink on the ground. Can you please clean it up right now?
You need to get yourself a Sully like what we have.
Well, currently
where you can be like, sorry, you go.
No, I was going to say, currently I have an amazing apprentice who does help me keep everything in line, but one day she'll be tattooing and I won't have that anymore.
Yeah, true. Yeah, honestly, Josh's decision to take on Sully at the Grand Illusion was probably the best decision he's made since I've been there.
Awesome.
At first I was like, you know, if you want to hire someone, that's cool. Like, you know, I'm not bothered. I don't mind setting up for myself and all this kind of thing. And now that Sully's here, I'm like, I never want to set up for myself ever again.
Like, you go on a guest spot and you're like, I don't even know what to do now.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh shit, I got to factor like 20 minutes either side for setting up and packing down. Usually more, because I'm like talking shit while I'm doing it and not like, you know, not doing it as efficiently as I should. So yeah, I'm very spoiled in that respect.
So it takes me so long to set up, and then I like to put my needles and my tube and my machine together and everything in front of the client so that they can, you know, see that everything's done cleanly and professionally and that. But like, I'll be sitting there chatting to them away about whatever bullshit we're talking about, and it'll take me 15 minutes just to get the fucking needle in the tube.
Yeah. I like doing that too, but I like to do it because I like to get all that chattiness out first, you know, while I'm setting up and, you know, like, you know, we're chatting away. And then once I get into the line work, I'm like, okay, let's chill. I'm not going to be so chatty now. Like, it's just focus from here on out.
Yeah. It's so hard sometimes to like communicate that to the client as well. Like, I'm not ignoring you. I really do like what you're saying, but just let me pause.
Yeah. I'm happy to take someone on whatever journey they want, you know, like I'm happy if someone's super chatty, I'm happy to be super chatty back. If someone wants to sit there with earphones in and just like watch YouTube or listen to their own music, I'm chill with that too. Luckily the Grand Illusion, because it's like one big open room and we're constantly having conversations across the room, when I'm doing my line work, it's easy for my client to slip into the conversations in the room, and then I can focus on my line work.
Yeah.
But I'm also not afraid to be like, oh, okay, during line work I'm not going to be so chatty, but once we start shading, we're back on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good when there's other people to distract them, like other clients saying stuff. Yeah, that's what I love about having a studio that is a big open room, because, I don't know, it feels so much more joyful, and I think clients walk away like sometimes making new friends or just having like, I don't know, a more fulfilling experience maybe.
Yeah, I love it when clients make friends in the shop. It happens so often where they start up a little conversation and then they'll follow each other on Instagram when they're done. It's so lovely. I'm like, yay.
That's so good. Yeah, that's
because we could all
that's what it's
use
about.
more friends. We could all use more friends and more connections.
Yeah, 100%. And like you mentioned earlier that, you know, as adults, we find it really difficult to make those connections now. And, you know, that's, yeah, like you said, we're really lucky in tattooing where we actually get to make connections every single day, and they can be really meaningful connections. And I think because there's something so intimate about what we do, and we can really get a much deeper sense of a person in that time we spend with them. Like the connections can be much more real, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. It's also, surely you would find it as well. It's also interesting, the dynamic, because I guess your clients follow you on Instagram for quite a while, so they sort of get a sense of your personality and what you like. And then often we're at the back foot. It's like, oh, you know all this stuff about me, but I don't know anything about you. So that can be a little challenging at times, or sometimes someone will bring up in a conversation something they saw in my story. I'm like, how do you know that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have like a friggin' memory like a sieve. You know, I've gone up to customers and shook their hand and introduced myself, and they're like, you tattooed me last month. And not because they weren't wonderful people, and I like nothing against it. I just literally forget things until I see the tattoo, and then I'm fine. But yeah, it's really weird because I think they, in knowing more about us, they kind of already perhaps feel more connected to us, and we're just like, oh, I don't even know who you are, but you're very lovely.
Yeah, it is quite nice, but it can be challenging. And I do see a lot of other tattoo artists who are a little bit more introverted kind of struggle with that a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not something I can relate to because I'm extremely assertive and extroverted. So, but I can understand how that could really throw somebody off.
Yeah.
For sure. And yeah, I've definitely accidentally forgotten people before, or like I'll remember their face and like forget their name, or I'm really shocking for only remembering people's Instagram names.
Yeah.
Which is bad. But if that's the way you're interacting with someone, you're going to remember them as like whatever I was going to try and think of someone's handle, but I can't off the top of my head think of any.
I once saw someone's handle and they were like, you know, every now and then they'd like or something, and it was vegan cum bucket, and it's probably the best Instagram handle I've ever heard in my life. And I was just like, if I ever met this person in real life, I wouldn't remember their name. I would literally just remember that handle.
Oh yeah, there was an account. There was someone who used to really regularly like my Instagram stuff, and I don't know if they've changed their name or whatever. But I don't see it as much as I used to. But their Instagram handle was Piss Princess, and like for the rest of my life, I will remember that. How can you forget Piss Princess?
I always wish that we could have more creative names, but I feel like, you know, because we use it for business, we have to just use a specific name. Although I saw one tattooer whose Instagram handle was Everybody Poops, and every single time they come up in my feed, I giggle like a little fucking child.
I don't know though. I think like the tattoo stage name is a double-edged sword. Like it's a life I live.
Miss Quartz.
Like people come to the studio, clients come to the studio, and they'll be like, I've got an appointment with Miss Quartz. Like kind of say it under their breath, like they're embarrassed to say it. And also when I'm introducing myself to other tattooers, like I don't want to walk up and be like, hi, you might know me from Instagram. I'm Miss Quartz. Nice to meet you. I'm always like, hi, I'm Courtney. And then they'll be like, well, I have no fucking idea who you are.
Oh, that's amazing.
But then on the other hand, that's kind of a good thing, because like I would hate for anyone, like I would hate to make a connection because that person just wants to get to know me because of, I don't know, the like Instagram followers I have or whatever. Not that I'm like this big like this huge deal or whatever, but it's always in the back of my mind. So kind of having a stage name is kind of good sometimes when you're meeting other tattooers, because it's like, oh, okay, so you're really genuine. You don't know who I am, but like you're having a conversation with me and getting to know me, as opposed to other people who are like, well, I don't know you, so I'm not putting any time into this.
And that's such a thing that happens in tattooing. Like I've literally gone to conventions where I've walked up to someone and be like, hey, I'm Eddy, I'm a big fan of your work. And they just like look me up and down and walk away. And it's like, you don't care that I'm a tattooer, you don't care who I am. Like, I wasn't someone who was famous, so you're not taking the time for me. And that just is so insane. And there's artists who I haven't known or followed on Instagram, and then when I've met them, they've just been the most beautiful people who've, you know, become a really important part of my life. And if I didn't take the time to talk to them because they weren't Insta famous, I would have a huge hole in my life.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I think it's like what we were talking about before. It's so easy to be nice.
Yes.
It's just so easy to be nice. You really have to take the time out of your day to be like rude and evil.
Yeah.
So just be nice.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like it's so strange to think that people actually make those choices to hurt another person when you can just, like, I don't know, say hi, give a hug.
Yeah, I think it's probably also it's also wrapped up in, you know, whatever socialization we've had growing up, and I guess the journey that you've had within the tattoo industry, because it has gone from, you know, the only way that you could succeed in this industry was by being like cool and like, you know, like not very nice and upholding this sort of like tough exterior. And I think a lot of people still hold on to those values, which I don't know, it just doesn't feel very nice. I think it comes down to, you have to make a decision within tattooing whether you want it to feel like an industry or do you want it to feel like a community.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And I imagine that a lot of those more negative behaviors are wrapped up in a lot of trauma and fear. And yeah, that I guess, you know, being in a capitalist culture, we don't always actually understand the true meaning or value of culture, sort of community rather, and until we're a part of one and actually see how wonderful it feels.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it also just within tattooing, because it is male dominated, and most men, not all men, most men have grown up with you're a man, you can't show your emotions, you have to have this tough exterior, you know, just that general vibe, I think. So I think that's why tattooing was like that for a long time, but with more women and just like more diversity in general is like really softening it. And I think that's a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Melbourne.
Because you should, sorry, you go.
No, you go, doll.
I just don't think you shouldn't be afraid to approach your peers, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And Melbourne, I think, has set such a good example for the rest of Australia in terms of the tattoo community. I feel like every time I've ever gone there and guested there, I've seen artists catching up from different studios and forming friendships. And, you know, until I had actually visited Melbourne, I had never seen that. You know, that certainly wasn't my experience here in Newcastle, where studios were very much against each other. And I think, you know, that's something that as we all like travel and guest and we're seeing those interactions in other places and we're bringing it back to our own community and spreading that like kindness and friendship, tattooing in Australia is just getting so good. And because we're forming friendships, we're sharing information more readily, and we're supporting each other out of, you know, negative situations and, you know, perhaps abusive like studios or whatever. And the change I've seen in tattooing, I think, has a lot to do with that.
Yeah, I totally agree, 100%. You nailed it.
And like, what's next for you? Are you going to be in Melbourne for the long term, do you think? Like, do you travel?
I was actually supposed to do a little bit of traveling this year, I think, as pretty much everyone else I've spoken to. My sister has been living over in Scotland for the last 2 years,
wow.
and my plan was to go see her, like check out where she's been living and meet her friends, and then I was going to head to down to the UK and do some tattooing, but that's not going to happen now. So I don't know what's next on the cards for me. I can't see myself leaving the Grand Illusion anytime soon. I just love it so much. And I love everyone I work with. They're so, so supportive and lovely. Honestly, I had such a blast last year just traveling to different states, Sydney and Perth and Queensland, that I'd be more than happy to just keep doing that, you know?
Yeah. That's
just
awesome.
Tattooing, hanging out with my friends. That's all I'm about.
Oh, that's so good. Well, before we wrap it up today, is there anything you wanted to share with our listeners or anything else you wanted to talk about?
I guess just if you're into Drag Race, come listen to our podcast. It's Down to Clown on Spotify, SoundCloud, and iTunes, and we're Down to Clown Pod on Instagram. We often do toots and boots of every look each week, and we're about to start All Stars, so it's an exciting time for Drag Race fans.
Oh, such a good lineup too.
Oh, I know. I'm so excited.
And Blair St. Clair's transformation.
She looks fantastic. Everyone looks so great. I'm so excited for Juju B to be back.
Yes.
And I think Shea Coulee is she's already my winner in my eyes. So
I got to see Shea Coulee perform at what was it? The Sickening Ball, and she fucking nailed it. Everyone just kind of oh my God, she's so amazing.
Yeah, she's definitely at the top of a list of queens that I really want to see perform.
Awesome. Well, for our listeners, you'll be able to watch this footage on YouTube if you like as well. Please subscribe to the podcast and to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at notjustagirl_tattoo. Please follow Courtney and our other amazing artists and give them lots of love because they're amazing and they deserve it. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, Courtney, for talking to me today.
Oh, my pleasure. It's been really fun. Thanks for letting me ramble away.
I like the rambling.
Yeah, me too.
Bye.
Bye.